Preston Elliott from the Preston and Steve Show, the 93.3 WMMR. Preston, thanks for being here.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks so much for putting on this event. We've had the wonderful satisfaction of being able to promote this event over the years. It's such a fantastic night and a wonderful place to do it. And I'd like to take a moment to introduce a gentleman who we just had on our show this week, and really he won us over, and he's going to speak for a moment to you guys. So I'll give you a little bit of background about Matt Bellina. Matt was born and raised in Southern New Jersey. After graduating high school in 2001, he went on to study political science at Virginia Tech. And upon completion of his degree at Virginia Tech, Matt was selected for naval aviation. At the end of advanced training, he was selected to be a naval aviator in the EA-6B Prowler. And he began to notice fasciculation and stiffness while preparing a brief for one of his flights. In the colder climate of Washington, Matt began to notice more pronounced muscle stiffness. His neurological symptoms led the Navy to medically disqualify Matt from flight status. But he did switch career paths, began working for non-flying positions within the Navy. During that time, Matt served overseas in Korea and the Horn of Africa. And while working in Minneapolis, the symptoms became impossible to ignore. And still doctors were unable to make a firm diagnosis before the Navy moved him and his family to Philadelphia. Upon moving to the area in the early spring of 2014, Matt was referred to the ALS Treatment Center of Excellence at Pennsylvania Hospital. And it was here that he was finally diagnosed with ALS. Matt's married to his college sweetheart, Caitlin, who's here. They have two young sons, JP, who's 3.5, and 18-month-old Kip. And he wants to teach his sons to camp, to throw a baseball, build a fire, kayak, along with many of his other interests. And he, of course, is committed to being present to successfully fight and beat this devastating disease. Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Bellina.
There you go. And now, can we have everyone's undivided attention, please? Shh. Can I go?
Whenever you're ready.
Those are some very energetic acts to follow. So as you know, to bear with me. I am Matt Bellina. I was diagnosed on April 9th, 2014 with ALS. And since it's been almost a year now, it's been a roller coaster of a year. I don't want to sugarcoat it. I want to focus on some positive things, but the truth is I hate this disease. And it's terrible and I'm scared. And I don't want to leave you without everybody knowing that. At the same time though, there's a lot of positive things that have come out this last year. And I've had a lot of positive experiences. The first thing, I promised my wife I would thank everybody here. I retired about 3 months ago, and my wife wanted me to express gratitude for me wearing something with sweatpants. And pajamas as well. So, in a sense, I was very lucky to be moved out here before I was diagnosed. I know I'm probably not supposed to say this, and I've actually been asked not to, but I'm going to do it anyway. The Philadelphia chapter of the ALS Association is the best in the country. And that's the first thing I learned. And I've been connected with so many other ALS patients at this point, largely through this chapter. And these people have welcomed me to their homes to give me guidance, to mentor me, and to help me learn what it is to deal with this disease. And every patient's different, so we all, there's only so much advice you can give. But I've learned so much, and I feel like in the past year, I'm supposed to be dying, but I've learned more about living from these patients and families and caregivers than I had in the 30 years prior to my life. And I wanted to share a couple of things that they've done. One of the first things is that, and this applies not just to ALS patients, but to everybody, is that we walk through life thinking we have control over things. We think that we are going to impact the outcome of how our lives go, and that we can control the ins and outs, and that's just not true. And ALS magnifies that. You learn very quickly that you have no control over basically anything. It's going to do what it wants to do to you. But the one thing that we do have is we have the control to choose how we react to what happens to us. And some very brave patients have taught me that, and that's given me a lot of strength, and I'm very grateful, and I want to thank them for teaching me that. That's really the only real freedom we have, is to choose how we react to our life circumstances. The second thing somebody recommended to me to do was to write down a list of all the things that the disease would not be able to take away from me. And that list has carried me with a lot of strength over the past year. And it's gotten me a long way, and I keep coming back to it, you know, on the down days, because there always are going to be those. And it's kept me very positive along the way. And I want to thank the person that taught me how to do that. I'm not going to name any names. The last thing that I've learned is that as powerful as this disease is, it's not the most powerful thing in the world. When I spend time with the ALS Association or with families that are taking care of ALS patients or the patients themselves, there's something that I notice that's much stronger than the disease in every aspect, and that's love. People at this chapter of the ALS Association act every day out of love, and you can see them do it, and that's why they've done such a phenomenal job in taking care of people like myself and the other patients out there. And I want to thank all of you for doing that. And I've seen the caregivers act out of tremendous love as well. And I think that if anybody knows or runs into a caregiver, take a moment of your time and thank them for what they do, because those people are heroes. I really mean that. It's an enormous burden, and they act out of love every day. And then finally, patience with the decisions that we make with our lives and how they impact our families. We look to act out of love every single day. And that's stronger than this disease, and it's stronger than death, and it's something that we can all aspire to. I think it's the greatest thing to which man can aspire. If anybody has any questions for me, I'll be around. But those are the things that I've learned, and I've learned them largely because I've had the opportunity, because of the ALS Association Philadelphia chapter, to get out there and meet all these people. And it's just been absolutely wonderful. And I've made some amazing friends. I got to see the Phillies. Got to go on Preston and Steve's show. So like I said, there's a lot of positive out there too. Thank you all for being here tonight.
Give a little round of applause for Bellina, everyone. Matt,